Hi guys. So I am just getting my sounds ready so I can watch. Uh, we'll be starting in just a moment because I know you guys need a chance to get in. Doo, doo, doo. Okay. So just trying to wait, see it tell me I'm live. There we go. And now we turn the volume off. Perfect. So again, I'll give it a couple moments. For those of you, so you're not watching a whole lot of Dead Space if you're watching this after the fact, I was requested to discuss what the rides at Universal are like in terms of, are they too repetitive? Is everything doing the same thing? A couple people voiced some concern about screen technology and that it's only using screen technology. So we're going to just kind of chat about it a little bit and see what stuff we can, give you my feedback. And again, this is only my opinion. I am not official by any stretch of the imagination. This is just from my experience of having been in the parks, been on the rides, and just what I experienced. So one more moment. And since, again, we're starting this off as a kind of a young and a new channel, if somebody does not join, I'm just going to continue to go across the information. But if you do join in, please say hi. Please put a comment. If you're watching this after the fact and you've got questions, go ahead and put a comment down below, or like it if the information that I eventually give you all by the end of this is good. But I would be happy to share and answer any questions that I can, as best as I can, or redirect you where I think the opportunities are best. I didn't give a whole lot of notice that I was going to be doing this today, so I realize I probably won't see a whole lot of people here, if anybody, but that's okay. I still got the information. Working from my lovely Universal map that I got from the last time. This one is from June of 2018. I actually was familiar enough with the parks, which I consider a little bit of a kudos to me, that I didn't even pick up a map when I was there during the holiday season, just because I knew where we were going. I knew kind of the game plan. But I do try to get new ones of this once a year, just so the latest, greatest information is on there. But between June and December, they didn't add anything. Now, Universal's goal right now is to be able to add one new attraction, not necessarily a ride, but one new attraction to every single one of their parks every single year. Last year was Fast and Furious. This year is going to be the Hagrid roller coaster, which is opening on June 13th. And I will be in town when that happens, so I'm kind of excited about that. I may or may not go there. I had originally just planned Disney, and then I got that post, and I'm like, I don't know if I want to wait in the 8-hour lines or just wait till December when they'll be bad, but they won't be quite as bad. And it is a roller coaster, which always limits how excited I am about it, which, that's just motion sickness and age and all that fun stuff. So one of the things that I have noticed in terms of Universal is that they end up going, how do I put this? They tend to not repeat the style of ride in the same park. You'll have the ride of one type over here and you'll have another ride over there. So, for example, and I'll start with what I think is one of the most obvious comparisons. In Islands of Adventure, in Universal Orlando, and I'm just talking about the regular parks. I'm not talking water parks because that's its own little ball of wax. But you've got Islands of Adventure and Universal Studios. And Islands of Adventure's concept is you're going into amazing lands and amazing worlds of films, original of books, of comic books, of just other worlds. So there are sections that are comic book heroes and the heroes, villain stuff. Then there's comic strip characters. When you walk around there, for those of you who like the old Sunday Fundies, you got Brunhilde's artwork, you've got Blondie and Dagwood, you've got the Wizard of Id, you've got Beetle Bailey, all of those things that most of us growing up looked at in the Sunday Funnies. The rides they have there which we'll go into more detail later, are Popeye and Dudley Do-Right. So again, they're right out of the cartoons and comic books that we had that are more family-friendly based versus the superheroes that, are more beat 'em up, fight 'em up stuff. So the next area is Skull Island. It's only one Kong experience. In my brain, because of the way it's set up, I kind of merge it into the Jurassic World. I know it's not, but they kind of function. But it's its own little Skull Island area for the King Kong, which I assume that they felt it fit more in the worlds of places you're exploring versus Universal Studios, which is about places where it used to be. Next over, then you've got your Jurassic Park. It is going to be starting to verge more and more into Jurassic World. Jurassic World being the newer movies with Chris Pratt and with Blue and all that. For like the Raptor encounter started out as just Raptors, and now your actual meet and greet is with Blue. And I hope they change that sometimes, but I guess they probably can't if everyone's hoping to meet Blue. After that, you've got the Harry Potter area, the Hogsmeade area, because there's 2 different Harry Potter areas. Talk about repeating. And then there's the Ancient World. There have been tons of rumors over the years that the Ancient World is going to get taken down so they can put some other stuff in that area. I can understand the fear because the experiences in the Ancient World are a walkthrough attraction and a stunt show. And they are especially good for like crazy times. I know my friend Drew adores Poseidon's Fury, which is the walkthrough experience. And it's fun, but it's a standing walkthrough experience. It's nice to be inside out of the sun, and then you get the hot room and the cold room and a little bit of water spray, and it's funny, but you're standing and walking from room to room to room for 20, 30 minutes. So some people like it. Some people do it once and they're done. And I don't think it's been updated in quite a while. So I'm sure that definitely has an effect. Then you go into Seuss Land, which is based on, the Dr. Seuss books, Cat in the Hat and the Lorax and the Star-Bellied Sneetches. The one the one in there that I don't see that I loved growing up was Bartholomew and the Oobleck. And if you guys are a fan of Bartholomew and the Oobleck, go ahead and or post a comment. What was your favorite Dr. Seuss book? Because I'm curious. So that being said, that's that park. The other park, which is Universal Studios, which I believe was the first park, is all about putting you in the movies and going around different places in the real world. So you walk in, and it's not completely accurate to that, but you go into the first area, and it's New York City. The Jimmy Fallon, you've got this sort of amorphous section in the beginning that's got Rip Roaring Rocket and Despicable Me, which is still in the United States technically, and Shrek, which is in the fantasy book. So that's the only one that's really, truly not in that world. But Rip Roaring Rocket could be anywhere, and it goes through the New York stuff. Despicable Me doesn't say New York. I think it's probably more a Californian type location, given the artistry, my opinion. But it's just those few. So, whoops, and I was in the wrong screen. That's why. So, so you go through New York, then you go into a very small San Francisco area. It used to be much bigger when you had Disaster, but you've got the wharf, you've got it's really Amity, which is where the Jaws stuff is put. Pardon me 1 second. I'm just jumping back into stuff right now, and there we go. So they used to have a whole lot of games and stuff in there. A lot of that went away. Lombard's is still there. I think the Ghirardelli sign is still there. And then Fast and Furious kind of fits in with that whole look. The next section is England, London. And that's where you've got the London waterfront, or the front, and the night bus is sitting out there. And then you go into Diagon Alley. And it's kind of a neat way to say that you're still within the real world, but placing that fantasy on it. Next section over, you've got the Fear Factor thing, which comes and goes these days. And then you've got Men in Black, which is San Francisco, and the whole kind of World's Fair-ish thing, which though technically I thought World's Fair was New York, but maybe they did it in San Fran. But that whole concept was the San Francisco area. But actually, I'm going to check the map to see what they call it, because I believe they call it the World Expo. Okay, well, it's World Expo, but I always thought of it as kind of a San Fran. The next section over, which is not a legitimately real world, is Springfield. And that's I mean, technically, I guess there are Springfields in the United States, but it's Springfield, the world of The Simpsons. You've got all the Simpsons characters. And then the last section, which, oh, they do name it. Good, good. Oh, I'm sorry. Hidden in the back corner behind there is the Woody Woodpecker area, which is a kids' play area. And there is a roller coaster there. And I think I'd never known this before, but I think there's a water slide of some kind there. Excuse me. Not that they have a place for kids to put on bathing suits or anything, but it looks like a real water slide. I was looking at some of the stuff. It's the kids area, so I pretty much never went in there. I didn't need to do a roller coaster that was for kids, and I didn't know about the water slide. So yeah, it just never happened. And then the last area is Hollywood. There used to be the Terminator attraction there, and I guess that's why Shrek's kind of in that area. But it's old style Hollywood, Betty Boop, and there used to be a Lucille Ball exhibit there that was kind of amazing. But that's all there and available. So those are the two kind of worlds. So in terms of comparing the rides, you've got in the comic book area, which is the superhero area, you've got a Spider-Man ride. And you get into a car, you have 3D glasses, you go riding on a track, you get to screens where bad guys try to do things to you, or Spider-Man tries to save you, and you feel like you're falling, or you feel like you're being thrown. You get something hot shot at you. You get sprayed with a little bit of water as if something acid or something is getting shot at you. And you move from screen to screen. And yes, Stan Lee is hidden in the ride, which if you go look for him. I know of one, and I was told there's another spot he shows up that off the top of my head, I can't remember. But yeah, so it's worth going and checking that out. On the other side is Transformers, where you get in a car, same car shape of 12, the wall comes down, your 3D glasses go on, and you go from movie screen to screen with the Transformers and the bad guys battling it out. And you feel heat, and you get sprayed with a little bit of water that could be acid or something. And it's almost the exact same thing. I don't know that the pattern of the track is exactly the same, but there's a lot of similar stuff that goes on. And they are, if you like one, you'll like the other to a level in terms of the ride. But the rides are extremely similar. It's not, I guess the people who have complained to me have said that, they're doing all the same ride, just putting another on top of it. And I guess it's sort of like if you said Test Track was a whole lot like Radiator Springs over at Disney. Or if you said, what are some of the others? Dinosaur is the same as Indiana Jones. The track is the same, and they put another layover on it. But Disney does a whole lot less of that. They will take the concept of the dark ride and just do a whole lot of stuff with that. So that's the first one. It's the Spider-Man Transformers. And like I said, a lot of times they do them in separate parks. I'm noticing them starting to do a little more in the same park. And if you guys disagree with me with the things that I'm doing as the comparisons, please let me know. There are a couple of rides that I don't get on for roller coaster stuff. And because of that, I can't necessarily give you a fair comparison. It's a similarity, but not necessarily the same, I guess is the best way to describe it. So the next set of ones that I would compare is over in Islands of Adventure. You have the King Kong ride. Again, you get in a big truck kind of thing, or like what's like a huge bus, really large, and you go driving off, and you start in multiple moving areas, and then you drive into a non-moving area where you have screens, and you get attacked by the bad animals around Kong. Kong tries to save you. I think there's a dinosaur in there, and there's some flying thing, and but you go from like movie screen to movie screen, going from different areas, and you do tend to do, I think, a little more actual driving, because at the very end, there's screens on one side, but there's a really amazing animatronic, actual with you animatronic of Kong. So that's really cool. On the other side is the newest ride, which is Fast and Furious. And it's almost a duplicate, or it is a duplicate of the one that they do out in Hollywood Universal Studios. Part of their backlot tour, you get this one section that's based on that. So this is just that one portion done as an individual ride, and replaced Disaster. And I really liked Disaster, just simply because it was everybody jumping in and being part of the experience, which always made me laugh, made me very happy. So you've got that. And they are incredibly the same. Now you get, the difference is that you get a little more pre-show at Fast and Furious. You get like a couple people in your staging rooms as you're moving in, whereas um, with Kong, you walk through a very interactive line, but you're not necessarily meeting living actors. It's mostly well, let me take that back. It's the big room in Kong is an animatronic. But on the way, I can't say that you officially meet a lot of actors because sometimes they're not there, but often they are. And you don't see them until they're jumping out of the walls and trying to grab at you, or they light up and make faces at you, which is very, very fun. They are notorious for finding the young woman who screams really loudly in a high pitch kind of, and then they just keep picking on her because there's multiple spots where you can pop out, and they are on both sides. What just happened there? Sorry, I don't know what just happened here. There we go. No, am I not live anymore? I should still be live. Yeah, I'm still going. Okay, I don't know what just happened there, but this thing was weirdly glitchy on me. Don't know. Okay, pardon me. Excuse me. Dusty day. All right, so that's those. Then after those two, so those are really, again, almost duplicates. If you physically like it or can handle the one, you can get to the other one, and it's not a problem. If anybody new comes in, go ahead and say hi. If you're live chatting with me, pop it in the box below. If not, following up after the fact, please feel free to say comments. Respond to the stuff we're talking about. All right, so the next one I compare, and I would normally, what's interesting for this next set of rides are all in Universal Studios, but they're very similar. The Despicable Me ride and the Jimmy Fallon's ride. And I guess you could call them attractions rather than ride, but you kind of ride. I am also going to lump into that The Simpsons. It's not an exact duplicate, but it's got a similarity. It's probably, to me, even a little better, but it does have a similarity. So, pardon me a sec. There we go. 5, please. 5. There we go. Okay. So both Jimmy Fallon and Despicable Me, you have some kind of a pre-show room. There's a cartoon screen pre-show room for the Despicable Me, one where they give you the ride info. There is a interactive experience while you're waiting for the line. It's a virtual line. Then once you get into the line, you have a movie screen that gives you the basic, TV screens that kind of give you the basic information about what's going to happen. And then you go into the big room. And in the big room, you sit down and you've got the whole thing you're on moves, and you've got 3D glasses, and the experience looks like you're moving around, flying around, doing all kinds of crazy things. And my understanding, well, with Despicable Me, I know this, and I would assume it's the same with Jimmy Fallon, is there's a section in the very front that is where you can see the 3D movie, but you're not on the pad that moves everybody else, which for nauseated, motion sicknessy people like me was a big help, because when I ride the ride normally, I have to close my eyes for about 2/3, if not more of it. Especially for both of them. When I went on the non-moving base of Despicable Me, I actually could keep my eyes open. I still got a little bit of a slight dizzy because it is 3D and you still get the moving kind of sensation, but it was infinitely better for me. Infinitely better. So next, again, these are not exact duplicates, but I was going to say, I put Simpsons in there because it's another one where you're in a car, you move kind of up, and instead of just a 3D screen in front of you, it's sort of a surround screen, so you could look to the sides and still see that screen. But it's still a very rough moving car that makes you feel like you're moving through this experience. I have been able to ride it with my eyes closed or mostly closed and survived partway. I have also been on it where the movement was so rough that even with my eyes closed, I got sick. Got queasy from it. It is not to the level of the roller coaster sick that I get. So just to let you know, hello, Miss Mouse. We have cat company. Hi, baby. You can come up if you'd like, but we're doing a live chat now. So next, yes, dear. She's gonna complain for a little while. I think she wants to go out, which we're not going to do in the middle of the live chat. We'll do that when that's over. You can come up and sit, but we're not going out right now. So the next ones I compared are the kind of kid-friendly rides, more traditional dark rides. And I used Cat in the Hat versus E.T. So Cat in the Hat's in Islands of Adventure. E.T. is in Universal Studios. And they're not, I mean, Cat in the Hat is a very traditional dark ride, like a Disney-style dark ride, with the exception of you spin in the middle of it. For people like me with motion sickness, that was still really annoying. So there you go. Shh. She's going to complain for a little while. I apologize. You will hear very sad cat. My Flurkin, as I like to call her, at least as of the last few days. And that will make sense to some people and not to other people, and that's fine. So, so Cat in the Hat, E.T., you get on a sort of a bicycle and you ride through the storyline of the movie. The same way that in the Cat in the Hat, you ride through the storyline of the book. She's going to be very, very unhappy. Next is going to be your spinning ride, I guess is the best way to put it. Traditional, like a Dumbo ride, where your car goes up and you go around in a circle. And the two that I would compare for that are at Islands, it's One Fish, Two Fish, Red Fish, Blue Fish in the Seuss area. And the other side, it's the Twirl and Hurl, which is a part of the Simpsons area. The Twirl and Hurl is probably the most traditional for that. The Red Fish, Blue Fish has a little added, come up here, has a little added extra spiky specialty because it will give you directions during the ride. And if you listen to the directions, you won't get wet. If you don't listen to the directions, you do get wet. We're going to make her happy. Yes, happy kitten. So those my brain didn't necessarily correlate them, but they are very much the same. The next two I compare are the Hulk versus the Rip Roar Rocket. And those are the true most traditional roller coasters they've got. You've got Hulk, which shoots you out at 65 miles per hour, I think, to start. And Rip Roar and Rocket put you on your back, and you literally go straight up in your car. And I think it's I don't think there's even two together. I think it's just one car of six, but I think it's just one car of six. Goes straight up in the air. And then when it comes down, I'm going to say at like a less than 45 degree angle. I mean, it might be 45. It really doesn't. It looks like it's less. And then shoots you all the way through the New York area stuff. Both of them I will not ride. I will not even attempt to ride. I know enough about my body and how I respond to this stuff so my comparison is strictly from looking at the ride. So if anybody has better idea about how those function and if they really are kind of similar, let me know. The next ones I compared were the Flight of the Hippogriff, which is the kids family-friendly roller coaster over at the Hogwarts area and in Islands Adventure. And on the other side is going to be the Woody Woodpecker Nut House coaster. And I looked at the footage and it's very short. They're less than a minute long. And it's a roller coaster for kids. It doesn't go upside down, but it does definitely move you around a lot. A lot of people have said that they feel kids' roller coasters are actually rougher on the body because the turns happen tighter because they're in a more compact space. So if you've had that experience, I would be curious if that's the case. Let me see what else I've got here. Then I've got 7, 8. This next one is I compared based on Poseidon's Fury, which is your walkthrough, and I compared it to Twister, which no longer exists. It's now replaced by the Jimmy Fallon Experience. And Twister was another one where you walked, and then you got a little thing, and then you walked into another room, and then you did a little thing, and then you walked again, and you experienced looking at a Twister versus the Poseidon where you walk and you see stuff about the gods and you have more storyline. Poseidon's Fury was better. There was more story. It was more interesting. It was a much better experience. So I would, between comparing those, I'd go with Poseidon if you had to choose. But also Poseidon is the only one that still exists. And then the last one, which I did as sort of a generic comparison, was because I'm not sure what it's going to be yet. There are three that actually could be up in that. You've got the Mummy Ride, which is an inside roller coaster. And it gives you storyline. It goes backwards for part of it. It goes inside for part of it. And that one looked like it was a whole lot of fun. And then I wrote it. And I needed a bubbly soda because I won't be writing it again. The second one I put in there, and these are both unknowns, are the Jurassic Park roller coaster, which is being built right now, which the more I'm hearing about it, I think it's going to end up being more like Rip Roaring Rocket, where you're shooting up. I think it's going to do a shoot up at the higher, like, and going down 90-degree angle kind of thing. The other one is the one that's about to open, which is the Hagrid's Magical Beast one. And that one, let's see, that one goes inside and outside. And as I'm looking at it, it looks like a family-friendly coaster. So it may not be quite that, but you are combining movie screens technology with the coaster. I don't think they're doing 3D on it. From what I'm reading so far, who knows? This all could be proven wrong. So those are them. Then I guess the big complaint that the person was having was about the screen ride. So I sat down and went, okay, which rides have movie screens in it where you're seeing film of characters rather than the dark ride where you've got an animatronic or some other experience like that. So Spider-Man, Transformers, Forbidden Journey, Gringotts, Simpsons, Jimmy Fallon ride, Despicable Me ride, Shrek, and actually the Hogwarts Express, which is the train that goes between the two parks. These are all basically functioning on screens. That's your entertainment value. That's your storyline. That's did I have Kong down there? Kong. Add King Kong to that too. I know that people complain about that, but I realized A, technology is leading us that way. But B, if the rides are all about putting you in the movies and making you part of the movie, having the movie footage is sometimes essential to do that. At least that's my personal opinion, that you need that to be able to make the rest happen. So that was sort of my take on all of it. Now, there are a number of rides that don't get replaced or repeated, I should say. And if you guys disagree with me, when I give you this list and talk through it, then let me know. The ones that I think that don't repeat, the Storm Forces Celatron is basically the Teacups ride, but they don't have another Teacups ride. So this is the only one of its type in Universal. It's got the spinny thing in the center and it's, Teacups. Fearfall, Dr. Doom's Fearfall. It's the only free fall ride they have there. Still won't go on it, but it's the only free fall ride that they have there. So that's always kind of interesting. The three water rides. Dudley Do-Right is your only log flume ride, a traditional log flume, not like, when you go to Volcano Bay. It's its own little entity. That's Dudley Do-Right. The Popeye ride is the only raft ride, and you get drenched beyond words. And then the Jurassic Park ride that's there right now, you will end up going traveling through sort of live/dark ride. And then toward the end of it, you have one big drop where you, depending on where you sit, can or may not get wet. And you may get really wet depending on where you sit. I have seen someone go on and come off drenched. I have seen other people go on and come off the same boat with just dribbles on them. So it's all good. The two other Seuss rides, they have a carousel, a kid-friendly carousel, which I'm surprised as I get older how tall those carousel horses are. I always thought they were shorter and easier for me to climb, and they're not. And the trolley, the High in the Sky trolley ride, which I adore, which is, it's almost kind of in a way People Mover-ish for the Seuss area. I guess that's the best way I can think of it. I did get some footage of it in one of my live vlogs. It would be day 8 of the Orlando 2018 trip, if you want to take a look, so you can kind of see the track it goes on. But it's very easy. It's technically a kid's ride. I've gone on it as an adult many times. I adore it because you get that experience of rolling around and seeing everything without wanting to puke your guts out. And that's always a high point for me. The Pterodon Falls. I always like to call it Peter Don, but it's not. So the Pterodon Falls, or the Pterodon Flyers. I've never been on it. It's a kid's experience. All you have to have a kid to go with you. And you get into The harnessy, you get into it like it kind of, it almost looks like a ski lift kind of thing, or like the swings you get, but it's not just a swing in a circle. It takes you around the whole Jurassic Park area. Now, I don't know what the shelf life is for that. I don't know how much longer that one's going to go, but I'm curious to see how that's all going to turn out. And I think, yeah, I think that pretty much covers the overview of the rides there. Now, like I said, I've never been to Volcano Bay, been in the water parks. I've seen footage from some other people who visited there. Water parks, other than like this lazy river, aren't my thing. So, I probably won't. But there's some interesting stuff here. And again, they try to theme them to the rides. They try to make it a little different. Yeah, some things are very similar. And people who don't like screen technology or simulators aren't going to be as happy. There are rides that will be okay, that will be different, but you're probably not. It's just my experience. But that's pretty much the information I have today. If you like the information you learned today, if it helped you at all, give me a thumbs up. It helps me very much. If you're not subscribed and you want more information about Orlando parks and rides and the experiences, go ahead and subscribe, and you can hit that little notification icon so you'll know exactly when my stuff comes out. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you had a great day. I'll see you next time. Bye.